Hello, and welcome to Poems You Need, where two poets who believe in the transformative power of language share the poems that sustain and inspire us.
I'm Kelli Russell Agodon,
And I'm Melissa Studdard.
and today we're reading poems by Cornelius Eady. And the poem I chose because it really reminds me what it's like to live your life as a poet. It's called A Small Moment. I walk into the bakery next door to my apartment. They are about to pull some sort of toast with cheese from the oven. When I ask, "What's that smell?" I am being a poet. I am asking what everyone else in the shop wanted to ask, but somehow couldn't. I am speaking on behalf of two other customers who wanted to buy the name of it. I asked the woman behind the counter for a percentage of her sale. Am I flirting? Am I happy because the days are longer? Here's what she does. She takes her time choosing the slices. I am picking out the good ones, she tells me. It's April 14th, spring with 5 to 10 degrees to go. Some days I feel my duty. Some days I love my work.
I feel that, and I love this poem too, and the way you read it. Yeah, I love what you said about the whole thing about what it feels like to be a poet in the world, and this part where he wants to order by smell instead of a name on a menu, and like he calls attention to the difference between like direct sensory experience and this experience that's more like mediated by language. And it's like, as a poet and his willingness to ask what everyone's wondering, he's like this representative of like, the unspoken desires of humanity or something, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, this poem makes a moment, which was just an individual moment of the speaker walking into the bakery to buy something. And now it's a collective moment with everyone. It's almost improv. Like and I feel like so much of being a poet is kind of improving your way through the world and just asking the questions. What's that smell? And seeing what happens.
Yeah, and it's communal for the people who are there having the experience, and it's also communal with the people who are reading the poem. And to me, one of the reasons why it's like that is because of like all this incredible detail that he includes. So
Mhm.
that when he says it's April 14th, spring with 5 to 10 degrees to go, it's like a revelation. It's like, that's why we're so happy. Whereas if he had led with that, it would just be information.
Oh, that's a really good point. Kind of like we're grounded in the poem because we're in the bakery, but we at that point, we don't know the season or anything, and then that's
Oh,
kind of the reveal towards the end, and then that final last line, "Some days I love my work." It can kind of mean 2 things, like love your work as a poet, but also love your work as a human, interacting, making lives better for others, so I think that I just love that last line.
oh my gosh, I do too. And because kind of looking at it right now, it's like some days I feel my duty, some days I love my work. Like some days it's one, sometimes it's the other. But because we've been so engaged with his experience in the poem, like we know it's like like the reader feels smart. The reader's along the ride, and we know which one of those kind of days it is. I mean, even though we
Mhm.
know kind of both because they're always kind of both. But, we don't have to be told what kind of day it is because he's done such an excellent job of everything throughout the poem that we know without having to be told. So it's such a smart way to end the poem.
It is, and it's a happy poem.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think paying attention to moments like this is such a
Mhm.
beautiful thing because we all have them all through our lives, and it's something to really connect to, you know? So, okay, well, my poem also is about a moment. It's another small moment in a way, but it's also kind of a powerful observation. Crows in a strong wind. And so I'm going to go ahead and read that. Off go the crows from the roof. The crows can't hold on. They might as well be perched on an oil slick. Such an awkward dance, these gentlemen in their spotted black coats. Such a tipsy dance, as if they didn't know where they were. Such a humorous dance as they try to set things right, as the wind reduces them. Such a sorrowful dance. How embarrassing is love when it goes wrong in front of everyone?
Oh my gosh, thank you for choosing this one, and I like how they have similarities where, just like you said, the moment of the crows, this what he's doing in here is something I think I used to be better at as a younger poet, but really just sitting with your subject. I imagine him sitting with, like, his subject or watching it and kind of taking notes of what they're doing and then turning it into, you know, um, the images. Such an awkward dance, these gentlemen and their spotted black coats. I love that. And then the surprise at the end, such a sorrowful dance. How embarrassing is love when it goes wrong in front of everyone?
Yeah. Y
Yeah, that voice there is amazing because it changes it from just a description of the crows to something larger.
Totally, totally. And when I first read this poem, I was so enamored with it, but I didn't know exactly why, and I couldn't make sense of the ending exactly. And I was like, how did we get from crows to love? And I went back and I was trying to figure it out. Once I went back and really thought about it, it started when it says, as they try to set things right. They try just this idea of trying to set things right, and then from that, we get into, like, the embarrassment of love and it going wrong and all of that, and it just feels like the leap from the one to the other, the volta that happens there.
Yes.
It feels very much like the same thing that's happening in the poem itself, with the wind is kind of, spinning the crows around and knocking them about, and then the volta kinda does that, it just kind of jumps up and spins, and then we're thrown out of this part of the poem and down over here, with love, and it's amazing, it's almost like a magic trick, it's beautiful.
I know I was, like, wanting to, take this poem apart to see if, like, how it's exactly what you said. How did he do that when we get but it really is, I think, that line as they try to set things right, which is very much like a human thing, and but he does earlier in the poem call them "these gentlemen," which is, like,
Yeah.
a smart move, so we're slowly getting that these are gentlemen,
Yeah,
set things right, and then we get into, the humanness of love, how embarrassing is love when it goes
yeah,
wrong in front of everyone, and that's also because you can really see the crows, you know,
yeah,
fling around, and then, like, to think about that as humans, it's
yeah.
really beautiful switch. It is a magic trick.
And I would also venture to say that maybe yes, it's totally about humans because 'cause they're gentlemen and all the personification that's in it that's wonderful, but there's also a possibility of an animal being embarrassed. And, I mean, because anybody who has pets knows, your dog or I've seen a squirrel get embarrassed. Uh, I know, I swear the squirrel was embarrassed. I stand by it to my dying day. It was running along this little I was on campus when I was an undergraduate, and it was running along this little, like, rail on a wall, and it fell down, and it jumped up, and it was, like, looking around like, "Did anybody see that? Who saw that?" So, I don't know.
No, that's a really good point. Well, crows are, distinguished gentlemen anyway. Of
They
course that they
are.
probably feel a little and crows are so smart.
They're really smart. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen them sledding down, like, houses in the snow. So I know they like to have fun.
Oh,
But
that's
I
right, they play.
they do, they play.
Yeah.
Maybe the crows are in love. I just love how these and also how Cornelius takes two moments that, another poet might have walked by and not even taken notes on or wrote about, just a moment in their day. It really shows when we're paying attention to what's going on in the world, we can write it's a simple concept about crows, but it's complex. And those are the best poems, is we can write about anything. It doesn't matter what we're writing about, it's how we write about it.
Totally true, and it's the insights that you have into that moment,
Yeah.
and the way, like in this poem, they launch you into insights about other moments and other things. So,
Yeah,
mm,
it's a deep poem. I mean, you wouldn't know. I am so surprised where it went, and that's what I think just really I adore about poets and poetry and poems, is that I don't know where they're gonna take me, and this took me, like you said, we started at crow, we ended love.
mm.
Yeah,
And
it's a
they're
good.
both really deep poems. They're so
Yep.
much deeper than you realize when you first read them. I did wanna say one last thing before we close, which is that in the beginning, I love the opening as well. "Off go the crows from the roof." It's just such a stunning opening. It's like, here's this startling moment, and he just startles us with the language, just jumping right into it. It's like the sounds of it,
Mhm.
the syntax, "Off go the crows," the phrasing, just everything about it is so interesting to me, and it just pulls me right, like, "W okay, what's going on here?"
Right, it's got music and it's most poets start, well, not most poets, but most people when you're speaking say the crows go from the roof, or the crows
Exactly.
fly off the roof, but off go the crows from the roof. It's starting with off that makes a big difference there, you're right.
Totally, totally, and also, say, as a person who just really loves animals, there's also that sense of relief that the crows aren't really getting hurt, or at the
Mhm.
very least, it's presented as comical. We've got all these different, we've got hilarity, we've got a little bit of sadness, but it's not about the crows, it's about the embarrassment of
Right,
love, but
right.
I think opening the poem being like, "Oh, no, I'm so worried for these crows," and then having it go to this other place is such a relief.
I agree, I agree.
Mm.
Well, these were two really great ones. I'm so glad we got to feature Cornelius today. Really good work.
Totally. Mhm. Totally. And I also wanted to say that anyone who is familiar with Cornelius's work probably knows that he's also in a band, which is the Cornelius Eady Trio. And, Kelly and I were lucky enough to have the glorious, gorgeous experience of hearing them at the New Orleans Poetry Festival last year. And, so we wanted to end by sharing a little of that music, and it's from the album Don't Get Dead.
Great.
Me and my baby sitting in the rain, waiting on the sun to shine. Mr. Blues, go back to from where you came, waiting on the sun to shine. Wanna know how it feels in the catbird seat, waiting on the sun to shine. Drop me off with joy and satisfaction needs, waiting on the sun to shine. Yeah, say oh, hanging in the sky, waiting on the sun to shine. Sun starts shining, moon got too high, waiting on the sun to shine. Second time, listening to the blues, waiting on the sun to shine. About to graduate to something new, waiting on the sun to shine. Yeah, me and my baby at the end of the world, waiting on the sun to shine. dance over the cracks and give it a whirl, waiting on the sun to shine. Mr. Blues, you done had your fun, waiting on the sun to shine. Anybody like that will miss your son, waiting on the sun to shine. Yeah, waiting on the sun to shine. Yeah, waiting on the sun to shine.
Thank you for celebrating poetry with us today. Information about the poet and works featured can be found on the episode page. And if you enjoyed today's readings, please press the like button and subscribe so not to miss another poem. You can also share the episode with a friend, and we hope you do. Until next time, we wish you beauty, inspiration, and very meaningful days. May you always have the poems you need.